Hi, this is Proic Sam Orgill from proicpartnership.com for family and business living and working abroad, relocating overseas and investing offshore. Thanks for listening to this vlog, and what I want to cover is you don't want citizenship, but you don't want the hassle of visas and difficulties at border controls each time you come and go from Cyprus. So what's the option for expats who want to be living and working abroad? Permanent residency is the EU option for those people. So if you're from a non-EU country and you want freedom of movement for your migration and to confirm your residency and your travel is made easier for family and business reasons, then permanent residency is the option. By and large, you have to be resident in the country for 5 years before you can qualify for this permanent residency. But for a non-EU citizen, Cyprus offers an initial visa of up to 5 years. It's not always granted. It depends upon the country, it depends upon the circumstances of the person, and you having sufficient income to show that you're not going to be dependent on friends or the state, that you have got independent means for you and your family. But these checks are quite a lot different for the EU citizens compared to the non-EU citizens. For non-EU citizens, a lot of emphasis is put on having a high level of secure income for the expat living and working abroad. They need to show that they've got, for permanent residency in Cyprus, at least 10,000 euros a year of income, and an additional 5,000 per family member. So with 2 parents and 2 children, they would need a family income of 25,000 euros a year, and they would have to show that income is sufficient to cover property, medical and education needs, and not only at the point of application, the point of approval, the immigration would retain the right to review that on a regular basis to make sure that the income is still there and available for those people. The Cypriots will reject people that they would consider to be a burden on the social welfare state. With permanent residency, it's not an obligation to own a property valued at around 360,000 euros. It's an advantage because it shows an asset rich, and the Cypriot business world isn't big on insurance, so the way that they're able to guarantee payments of bills still is largely around property and investments. So by having a property of 360,000, they're fairly confident in you that you can pay your bills. But it's not essential for permanent residency. It's preferable but not essential. So you could have a smaller valued property, or you could be renting in theory. The important thing is to show that you're of independent means in terms of investment and income to support yourself. So it's quite a rigorous check for this permanent status. You've got to already been in Cyprus for 5 years. If you're an EU citizen, if you're a UK citizen in particular, when we consider EU Brexit for expats, the situation is quite a lot different, and Cyprus have taken quite a forward-looking step and to make quite a clear statement to UK expats that they're welcome in Cyprus and they're happy for them to stay. So they've extended a permanent residency status for EU expats and actively encourage them to take that up. That will give 10 years of free movement between the UK and Cyprus for British expats after they become non-EU citizens. So by applying now, they can apply as an EU citizen. And the proof then is just to show that they've been living in Cyprus for 4 or 5 years. So you can do that by property ownership for 5 years, by continuous residency through electricity bills, for example, or if you've been working, your social insurance and tax records for those periods. So as long as you can provide reasonable proof that you're living and working independently in Cyprus, then they will be happy to have you living and working abroad in Cyprus. So that's what the situation is with EU citizens. So the recommendation would be to a UK expat living and working in Cyprus is to apply for that permanent residency now. You may have an EU residency permit at the moment, which is for an indefinite period, but once you're no longer an EU citizen, the rules will have to change, and UK citizens will be required to reapply for a new non-EU citizen visa. The burden of income and proof and residency will be higher, and UK expats could find themselves marginalised or no longer entitled to residency here. With the new double taxation treaty, that could have an impact on the tax in Cyprus or the UK. You cannot pay tax in Cyprus if you're not legally resident, so you need a yellow slip, a permanent residency or dual nationality in Cyprus to be a tax resident in Cyprus. So if you don't have the yellow slip or the permanent residency, then you will ultimately potentially use your right to be taxed in Cyprus, which means that you could revert to tax in the UK. So with Cyprus having unlimited zero tax on dividends and bank interest, and a maximum rate of 5% on pensions, and no tax for incomes below £17,000, there's a lot to lose for British citizens who could start paying tax from earnings of as little as £12,000 a year. So UK expats living and working in the UK should consider the higher burdens of proof for non-EU citizens and take action as recommended and supported by the Cypriot government and the UK to get permanent residency now under EU rules, and it'll be fairly, as long as you can show that you're living in the country for 5 years, then you can get that permanent residency. If you want to know more about this, contact us on our Living and Working Abroad page. You can comment, ask questions, share our blogs with people. We're happy to help and guide and inform people and expats living and working abroad. At our website at proactpartnership.com, we've produced a guide for how EU Brexit for expat affects overseas property, business and pensions. So if you want to know how EU Brexit will affect you, expats, overseas property, business and pensions, go along to our website at proactpartnership.com and you'll be able to download a copy of that guide. And we hope you've enjoyed this and found it informative. If you do, like us on Facebook, share and comment, and we appreciate your time and your input, and we look forward to seeing you next time. This is Proact Sam from Living and Working Abroad. See you next time. Thank you.